Ladies and gentlemen, this is internet personality Vangelus here with a review of one of them newfangled G.I. Joe movie toys. I wasn't actually going to get into this line, then I made the mistake of looking at pictures of them, and things kinda went embarrassingly. So I wanted to open up with the one G.I. Joe toy I tend to buy as much as possible, which is James McCullen Destro. I love this guy. I honestly don't know why. I think it's because I really dig the whole Mars Industries aspect of the G.I. Joe lore. I'm not a big Joe fan, so I don't know, what parts are recycled and what not, but I just like the idea of this kind of arms dealer that plays both sides in his own little way. Before I look at the figure, I did want to point out, I am in love with the G.I. Joe movie toy packaging. I don't know what it is. Ever since the first Toy Fair images came out, it's this combination of darks with a punchy evil red on the villains, nice bit of character art, and this spastically awesome green that just pops out of the package and really makes you go like, wow, that's a toy. And it's really densely packed. There's not much wasted space. I just really adore this packaging. It's some of the best North American toy packaging I've seen in years. And also, it's escaped the curse of trilingularity, because this file card is only in English. There's another one packed inside in different languages, but I'm just happy at how these packages turned out, and I've actually taken to wanting to keep them just because they really satisfy that weird tinge of mint and sealed boxer that somewhere lingers within my soul. Anyway, these are also actually really, really easy to open up. I've heard complaints that these are really cruel packages to open. You cut tape twice, you slice the bubble, and you have a resealable box. And you just have to kind of carefully peel this sticky whatever off of the bubble, and this actually does help re-close the boxes. Then all you gotta do is slice the bubble 3 times. And lo and behold, you have resealable packaging. When you want to close it up again, you just put everything back in, and as long as this stuff stays sticky, you can reseal the front of that, and even if this doesn't stay sticky, these are really secure tabs here. Pulling this guy out could take a while. Let's time warp with Mars Industries. Movie Destro comes in one of the nicest revamp outfits I've seen out of the entire line. I really love the whole general but businessman deal. The metal mask is quite nice too, although I am a little wigged out by the pupils looking straight up. It looks kind of like he's riding a high. I kind of was hoping they'd just leave the eyes white somehow, because the pupils being that high just is odd. I wish they were either down or gone. He also comes with the one G.I. Joe plus that I'm aware of, which is that his trigger finger is actually sculpted separate from the rest of his fingers. The only problem is he doesn't actually have any guns that would really utilize that to much degree, but it's nice to have there. And he's also loaded for bear with weaponry, although as you can see, instead of holsters, a lot of this stuff just pegs into his legs, which kind of works for this piece and maybe this gun he's holding here, but this one has too much baggage and falls off most of the time. I have found you can mount it by angling it slightly like this, but then it just looks a little bit weird sticking off the front of his leg. I don't know. The tail of his coat tends to pop it off merely just by pushing a lot. So that was a bit of a disappointment, although once you can get it to stick in there, it looks okay, just don't rattle him too much. He does have one real holster, which is mounted in one of my favorite badass holster points right there on his chest, and his little black pistol fits in there quite snugly. So I'm very much liking the battlefield look this guy has. This gun, however, I really am kind of wanting to write off. It looks weird. It looks like a very interesting idea for an ammo magazine, but overall, I find it hard to get him to actually hold it because of that thing, and that thing also tends to make it fall off of his hip holster, so I am kind of tempted to just lop this stuff off and make it a neat little laser pistol. So that's a weapon that I'm going to say is a bit of a wash, but this other stuff is fairly cool. He's got this blaster thingamadoo, which he can hold quite happily, and then if you want, you can double it up. And thanks to all the newfangled 25th anniversary G.I. Joe articulation that's carried over to this line, he can pretty convincingly hold this combined weapon with both hands. And I'm always happy when G.I. Joes could do that, because they could kind of do it in the 80s, but it always looked weird to me, and with all these extra joints in the wrists, I love how this looks just a little bit more natural if you engage in just a wee bit of ye old finagling which I'm rather failing at right now, which brings me to one of my only key points against G.I. Joes on the whole, which is that they have a lot of joints which are all there, but a lot of them are kind of rubbery. You're able to put weapons in their hands like this, you're able to manipulate these guys in all kinds of different ways, but often everything kind of wriggles out of place from where you'd like it to be. So that's one of my big knocks against the whole line. I don't know why I keep coming back to it. I think it's just I love these character designs. As I said, I don't have a lot of attachment to G.I. Joe lore outside of Destro, but Destro included, a lot of these Cobra character designs, more so than G.I. Joe ones, just catch my eye, and I like having these guys on my desk. Also, in an excellent throwback to the 90s, a lot of these G.I. Joe movie toys come with the giant missile launcher. Now, these have been fairly decried, as far as I can tell, by almost the entire G.I. Joe fandom. In my case, I actually have a soft spot for them, only because while I was born in '84, a lot of my childhood that I actually remember well was in the 90s, so I was there for wicked cool G.I. Joe stuff like the Battle Force or whatever, who all had guns like this. So, while many people are tossing these in the trash, I, for one, am very proud to have the Mars Industries Thermonuclear Pyrosymbiotic Armageddon Launcher. It's just so ludicrous looking. I find it hilarious. Ever since the Toy Fair pictures, I've loved the the visual of all these fairly realistic looking toys whose designs have been grounded even further in realism for the film, that then are packaged with these incredible weapons. I mean, just take a look at this. This is absolutely hilarious. So, while it is plastic that feels a little bit wasted, it entertains me so much I can't really knock it. However, I'm sure many of you think this looks absolutely stupid, and you're not wrong. So this is definitely a knock against the line, unless you find them as funny as I do. They do launch pretty well. And there's also an interesting thing on this one, at least, where you can kind of shove the missile in a little bit, and then it won't fall out, but it hasn't pushed the spring back. And I appreciate that, because it helps you keep all your stuff together, and it means you don't have to worry about ruining the springs, although I'm sure many people are not that worried about the condition of their giant, ludicrous 90s missile launcher. Posability-wise, Destro has all the joints one would expect out of a G.I. Joe, and they're generally not limited. The tail of his coat here doesn't really restrict his forward leg motion, so I'm quite happy about that, at least on this leg. This leg, I guess it does restrict it a little bit, but it's more flexible than I expected. Destro having double-jointed knees is also nice, because I found a lot of his 25th anniversary counterparts didn't. And what I really like is that, at least in my copy, and I know that these toys, given the rubbery plastic often used for the joints, this can be very hit or miss, but in the case of mine, all the joints feel a lot smoother than some of the 25th anniversary toys I've had. So, overall, I'm quite impressed, and I would recommend this Destro to anyone who even passingly is into Destro, or just finds this costume design rather neat. Anyway, this is Internet Personality Vangelus. I hope you enjoyed the review, and stay tuned for more fun and adventure, because, as I said, I tried to resist this line, but I have just this small, tiny little list of toys. There's not all that many I'm after. You know, it was just going to be Destro, but then I saw there's a mole pod, and I love mole pods, and I saw that some of the ninjas look kind of neat, and I saw the accelerator suits, and they're really silly, and I like that, and why can't I ever save money?